All right, so I'm Jacob Cohen. I'm going to be the head judge advisor for Colorado here. So we're going to do a quick judging workshop. I do want to have a lot of time for question and answers because I know this is something that a lot of you guys will have questions about. So I got a few slides here. We're going to go over some stuff first, but then I do want to have some interactive sessions. These guys are going to run around with the microphones. Before we get started, a little bit about me. I'm a FIRST alum. I was 2007 to 2010, so when they did that kind of hallway thing with the games, I was a lot of those games. Moved here from Chesapeake last year, so I'm a little bit new to Colorado, but definitely not new to FIRST. Been around as an FTC mentor, FRC mentor. You got me driver coach in there, I got refs there, all the above. That's my senior year FTC robot on the bottom there. So been around, new to you guys, so not very familiar with your teams. I'm excited to meet all of you at these various competitions, but definitely something I take great pride in being judge advisor is being impartial. So don't know any of you, so that'll do it. So I kind of broke this up into two sections. Before the competitions, what you can do to prepare for judging, and then at the competitions. So let's focus here. First thing you gotta do is read the manual. I'm probably gonna say this 50 times today, so just keep listening. The answers are in it, right? Not following the manual does hurt. It tells you what to do. Each award has various instructions and things and requirements that you have to do. Literally in the manual is that quote at the bottom. Each award listed below has a list of non-negotiable requirements. If you do not do these things, the judges cannot give you the awards. I don't like to do that. I don't like having to do that at all, right? And they're fairly basic, just read it, right? Today, tomorrow, sometime this weekend, sometime this week, read Game Manual 1, read Game Manual 2. Highly recommend just print it out with a highlighter. That's what I do, it works for me. The judges are gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Just read it. It's very helpful. And it makes our lives easier as well. So what can you do to prepare for judging? First gives you a bunch of resources. This link is the team resources page. The engineering notebook guidelines are there. Team judging self-reflection is there. There's a bunch of stuff. It's super helpful. It's somewhere off the FTC page. I think we're gonna make these slides available too, so hopefully this link will work instead of memorizing 5226. Highly recommend checking it out though, there's some good stuff there. Each award is described in full there. An opinion I have is, and this is just me to be clear, it's not FIRST, sometimes it's best to just go for one or two awards, right? If you guys know you're really good at one or two things, focus on that, right? Give us a handout when you come in. Tab your engineering notebook with something where, you know, I'm great at the Connect Award, that's what we're shooting for, right? It's okay. Judges like to hear that, you know? If you set out the goal and say, we're shooting for these two awards, there's no shame in that. It's actually kind of cool when you guys come in and say, we think we're focusing on, you know, community outreach this year, or maybe we just have this really crazy design for one part of the robot, so we're shooting for the Innovate Award. It's okay. And then if you design your presentation for that, we like to hear it, and again, it makes our lives easier. We know what you're going for. Sometimes go for one, sometimes go for all, but it's okay to come in and say, we're shooting for these two. Engineering notebook, you guys covered it earlier in the session, but I'm covering it again. Don't ignore it. It's one of the most important things in judging, right? We have to have it. There's requirements there. They did loosen the engineering notebook requirements this year a little bit in part 1, section 9, I believe, which dropped today, hopefully. I've seen it, I've read it. However, they loosened the general requirements and all the award requirements are still there. So if you want to go for some of these awards, you still have to do exactly what you used to do, right? Again, another quote from the book, engineering notebooks will not be considered without this information. There's certain things you must do in the notebook. They're not that complicated, but if you don't do it, we cannot give you awards. I don't want to do that. So please do me a favor and read the book. Do what needs to be done. It's not hard, but if there's little things missing, it completely disqualifies you from the award, and there's nothing I can do about that. That's the rule from FIRST. And they also have the full guidelines available. Read through them too. Doesn't have to be today, but definitely do it early. When you're going through your season, work on the notebook as you go. Here's some tips. Keep it updated through the season, right? Every meeting, write down what you did. It doesn't have to be crazy detailed, but we need something. You want to be able to rebuild your robot like the guys said this morning. The more you put in it, the easier it is for you, the better it is for us. Don't do what I did when I was a sophomore and do it the week before the competition. It's not a good idea. Trust me, judges knew, I knew, we all knew. Don't do that. Work on it a little bit. Focus on it while you're going. It's very important in FTC to have your engineering notebook built. And also don't stop at the first competition. That's what I did my junior year. Senior year, we finally figured it out, by the way. We actually did it throughout the season. What we had a tendency to do, though, is we'd go to our first competition, we'd get whatever. If we got an award, we got an award, and then we'd stop updating it. That's not what you're supposed to do. We need that updated throughout the thing. There's a bunch of things that in the manual say are strongly recommended. That's code for saying the judges want to see this stuff. Just do it, right? When they say strongly recommended, it means please do what we want to see it. It's going to give you an advantage. They tell you what to do in that manual that I want you all to read. Said I'd tell you 50 times. I'm going to. Judges don't have a lot of time to sort through notebooks, though. What goes on in the judging room is that we see you guys for our sessions. We look through your notebook there. We'll look through it again later, but we're not going to read the whole thing. It's a big book, right? And it's very informative. There's certain things in it, though, that you definitely want us to see. Tab them. Flag them. For the Think Award, it tells you to do that. It strongly recommends you to do that. But maybe if you, like I said earlier, if you're not going for the Think Award, but you're going for the Innovate Award, tab those. That's okay. We're going to flip through the tabs for sure. You guys have the ability to highlight what you want us to see. Do it. Take advantage of that. One thing to note, the Control Award. This requires a separate form submission. Again, I cannot give you this award if you do not submit this form. It's not that complicated, but you could have the best autonomous in the entire world, but if you didn't hand the judges that award submission form, we cannot give you the award. I've had it happen. I don't like doing that because we'll sit there and say, clearly it's that team. They didn't give us the form. Please give me the form. And in my opinion, again, if your robot has an autonomous, submit the form. I don't care if the autonomous is very, very basic. Submit the form anyway. It's worth it. We're going to look at your stuff one way or another, but you have to submit this form. So that's a lot of the prep work you can do beforehand. What can we do at the competition, and what really happens at the competition? Number one, you've heard first say it, gracious professionalism. It is listed as the first criteria for every single FTC award. That's why it's up here. It is a mandatory requirement. In the book, it says teams who behave in an ungracious way are not eligible for consideration for any award at the event. That's true. It takes pretty egregious behavior to do it, but it happens. Please don't do that. That's discussions we don't want to have. You don't want to have. Gracious professionalism is very, very important, and that is why they listed it in every single award description. And Woody Flowers there would be sad if you're not. Here's the judging summary. This is the process. You have an interview with the judges. There's an evaluation of the performance during the event, right? We have match watchers who are watching your robot run, and then there's the evaluation of the engineering notebook. And I'm going to quote again. The judges want to know highlights about the team, its history, its makeup, what the team achieved during the competition season, and the experiences that were gained. There's many ways to deliver that to us in the notebook, in the interview. The interviews are 10 to 15 minutes, and that's you talking to us. That's where you get to say what you want to tell us, for sure. We will come around and ask questions depending on the event. Some qualifiers don't because we have what we need. Occasionally, judges will come out to the pits and look for you guys to ask questions. It's very much an event-based thing, but they will be watching matches. This is a lot of information, but it really does cover what the judges' interviews are. They are before qualification matches. You do not have to worry about making your judge interview and making your matches. You should bring your robot. We want to see it. You should bring your whole team. You don't have to, but we really, really like to see when your whole team and your robot's there. I know sometimes it's stressful. You're trying to pass inspection, things like that. I've been there, but it really does make it a better experience for us and for you guys if you're all there. In the room, 2 or 3 judges, no more, no less. Minimum of 10 minutes. What's new this year is there is a time limit. There is a maximum of 5 minutes uninterrupted presentation time. That used to be a little blurrier. They've made that more clear. So we'll sit there with a timer, time you. You have 5 minutes, though, where you can tell us exactly what you want to tell us. So you deliver it, right? You don't have to use that 5 minutes if you don't want to, but I strongly recommend it. And you guys should practice this. Do this back in your school or in your house, whatever it is. Bring in people who've never met your team before, who don't know anything about FIRST. Present to them. It's an hour commitment. It's great. It's one of my favorite parts about FIRST. And you can really focus on that judge presentation and deliver what you want to do. It's a good life skill as well. Focus on team, robot, outreach efforts, everything. One thing to note, we do not provide feedback, verbal or written. That is the FTC rule, so we will not be doing it. You are allowed to bring a mentor in. They will not, 1 or 2. They cannot do anything. They are not taking part of the interview. They are there. That is the type of feedback. That is entirely up to you. It is not judged whether someone shows up or not. It's really whatever works best for your team. I'm kind of jumping around. Sorry about that. But so submit the engineering notebook and control award submission form at the beginning. Drop those off right to us. We do our best to ask. There's a lot going on in the judges' room, so sometimes we forget. If you guys present it to us, makes our lives easier. I've had to run out and go grab them. It's not the end of the world as long as you have them, but please, if you guys can just hand that to us, nice to meet you. Here's our engineering notebook. Makes our lives easier. You are required to have at least 2 students, but I highly, highly recommend you bring the entire team. And judges' interviews are required. You must attend, no matter if the robots pass inspection or not. That's why it's before the qualifiers. You can make it. We know you can make it. Please attend. In the event that something crazy comes up, work with your judge advisor at the event. I will be one of them at a bunch of them, but there will be other judge advisors as well. If extenuating circumstances happen, we'll make it work, but you must make your interview. And here's the secret. This is something that I didn't realize as a student, but I realize now. The judges are rooting for you. We know interviews are intimidating. They are, right? There's 2, 3 judges sitting at a table listening to you talk. We want you to succeed. We love hearing these stories. You guys know the answers to what you did. You went through the whole season. You're about to anyway. You know what you did. You know the struggles you had. We want to hear about all of it, right? How'd you come to that design? Well, the first 5 failed and they didn't work, but this one is really working well for us, right? Sometimes at early qualifiers, it's still not working, but we have a plan. We want to hear that. We love hearing this stuff. I know it's intimidating and there's not a lot you can do about that. Practice at home helps a little bit, but please know that we are rooting for you. We're excited to hear it. It gives us hope, right? One of my favorite stories, I'm from DC, where everything can be a little tense in DC. He's an FRC judge, but he comes to one competition a year. He works right on the Hill in between people bickering all day long his entire life. He comes to these, he says, this gives me hope for the future. Gives all of us hope for the future, that we can work together, that we can be better. We love hearing you guys and what you have to say. So please just keep that in your back of your minds. Mentors, remind your students when you get to competition, the judges are rooting for you. No matter how intimidating that room can be, we are there for you. We're excited. Tell us what you did, and we're excited to hear it. So that's my little description here. Questions, I do highly recommend the FTC forum for award descriptions or any questions related to that. My email, FTC Judge Advisor, is available. Any questions about judging? All right, wherever.
Our team came up through the FLL system, and we've always appreciated the rubrics that are handed out at the end of FLL competitions. Why does an FTC do something similar for the engineering notebook?
I was up there with you. It's something that FTC FIRST has considered. I don't know what they're going to do. They've heard that feedback from significantly more than just you. As of now, we're the implementers of it. They don't have it. Dawn, do you want to add to that?
They won't allow us to do it.
Yeah. No, we're not allowed, and that's why I put that up there. Forget my opinion. It's not something we can do. So.
But they are considering it.
Yeah, they're considering it. And so tell them, right? There's places you can do that. Find the outlet, give them the suggestion, because if they hear it from every single team, I suspect something might change.
When you're looking at notebooks, does it stand out more if the notebook is handwritten or typed, or do you like a mix?
Doesn't matter. That's not something we judge at all, and it's important. It's in part 1, I believe. It's in the engineering notebook requirements. You are allowed to do both or mixed. Nobody will judge anything based on that. It's based on the content, right?
Okay.
Questions? Hands? I see a hand in the back. I see a hand in the front.
So, talking about the notebook rules, one of them that I recollect that caused some confusion has been, they say that the team summary should be the first page of your notebook. Sometimes teams put it there, sometimes they tuck it in the sleeve. What do you want?
Well, it's funny, that's something that changed this year. The team summary is no longer required, but it's heavily recommended, and then it's required for certain awards, I believe. So put it in the front, whether it's in the sleeve, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to disqualify anything because of that if it's in the front, right? But follow those rules. I like it as the first page, but that's my 2 cents. Again, it's no longer required, but please do it anyway. It really does help us. A picture of your team with your robot makes it easier for us to remember you guys, right? We see a lot of teams back to back to back to back. It's all interesting. The robots, while they're very different, I know they're all 18-inch cubes. Some judges are new to FIRST. Some have been doing it forever, like myself. I can tell you every single little piece of the robot that's different. Others can't. It's up to you guys to really tell the judges why you differentiate, and the team summary helps with that.
I got one more thing.
All right.
The address you have up there for the forum, I think that may be old.
Shocking.
And so if you Google FTC forum, it will take you right there. That address may not.
Okay. That was on FIRST site the other day, which does not mean anything. So I do what he said.
So after 5 minutes of uninterrupted speech in the judge's presentation, are you allowed to continue like a presentation even though the rest of the time it can be interrupted?
So it's going to be questions. It's going to be a 5-minute presentation, and then you should not continue a speech. It's going to be judges asking questions. That said, if you have props or things to talk to that answer our questions, most likely you'll know kind of sort of what our questions are going to be, because they're to answer the award description questions. So if you, for whatever reason, have something on a board or in a presentation of some sort that answers our questions about your robot, more power to you. I think that's good. Having designs for various, or CAD or whatever it is, sketches that you can point to. Sometimes you can just open the engineering notebook too and say it's on page whatever, right? Find this here. The presentation is going to be 5 minutes though, to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
One down here. Oh, one back. Go ahead.
Can we actually not videotape the judge interview and all that stuff?
Yeah. The mentor can sit there. It's up to you. I don't believe that's in the book. I didn't read it. If it is, I take it back. But I didn't see anything. The 2 adults in the room just stand there or record, but no interaction.
Okay, thanks.
I've got 2 questions. Is
All right.
it okay if I ask both?
Sure.
First of all, I've noticed that for second place Inspire Award, it can advance you onto, from states, it can advance you onto worlds. How does that compare to the first place of other awards, such as the Design Award and Think Award, I guess? Like, how do you determine
So
which-
it's one award. You receive one award, but by being second place Inspire doesn't necessarily disqualify you from other awards. So you're correct. There is advancement criteria. Again, read the book, like you did. So that's very important. You're correct. But it's receiving the award is the physical award, right? It's first place. Typically, Inspire, you all probably know this from seeing it, you'll end up in the running for many different awards. That's, in fact, in the description. It's a team that does well across the board. So it's not an accident if that happens.
Okay, thank you. For my second question, I was wondering, what is the overall effect of outreach events or outreach participation on the judges? Like, how much does that factor into what you think is an Inspire winning team?
Well, there's certain awards that are just that. So Connect to Motivate are community outreach related awards, so they're obviously very important. And because Inspire is based on those other awards, it will factor in pretty significantly. That's going to be up to the judges in each room, based beyond what's listed there. Judging is something that is somewhat subjective, so it's never going to be the same over and over again. But that's why you guys really, really want to focus in that room on delivering what you want to deliver. Community outreach is very important for Inspire. Yes, all aspects are very important. So if your robot has to be pretty good, your community outreach has to be pretty good. Everything, your engineering notebook has to be pretty good. All of the above, right? And it's the team that does best across the board. If a team, I would say, hypothetically, has a great robot, great notebook, and did no community outreach, I personally would not believe they're an Inspire contender. Other judging rooms could say differently, but that's typically what the rule is shooting for. So yes, highly encourage you to go do community outreach. Dawn has a bunch of lists of things you can get involved in. It's fun, it's good to do, and the more the merrier. Better for the first progression of programs.
Okay, thank you very much.
So you were talking about how
during presentations that as a judge you prefer seeing the whole team. Do you care if it's only 2 team members are speaking, or would you prefer that the whole team is speaking?
Yeah, so that's a good question. This is my opinion. It's one I've seen before. Typically, everybody should be involved somewhat in the presentation. Also, typically as a judge, if you have 2 people speak and nobody else, I will point out people to answer questions. Not to say, I'm not going to look at ask a programming question to somebody who builds the robot. I'm not going to do that, but I would encourage everyone to be involved to some degree, right? Obviously, speaking is a very difficult thing. It's non-trivial, so you may have people who are a little more inclined to speak and a little less inclined to speak. But we like to see the team work as a team, so the more everybody presents, the better. Obviously, somebody may be the focus, but have everybody involved. That's my 2 cents. It's common across the board, but that's not a rule.
So this FTC forum is the one that takes precedence over the Chief Delphi forum, right?
Yes, so this maybe not that link, whatever link it is, that is the rules. When they answer questions, that becomes rules, right? So occasionally they'll update the manual. Sometimes the rule on the forum is the answer. I encourage you to print that out and bring it with you if it's something important. That's probably more on the mechanical side, but I have had cases where the forum answered something and, it came up last night and the inspector didn't see it, and you want to bring that with you. Highly recommended, though, for clarification, because that is the FTC people who are at the top answering questions.
So one clarification to that. They will not always update the manual with what they put on the forum.
Correct. So I'll just restate that. The manual will not always be updated based on what's on the forum, but the forum is the rule. That does take precedence. So again, I encourage you to do that. If you have any questions, I can answer you, but if you want to know if something's not clarified in the manual, that is where to go, because that is the people who write the rules and they are in charge. No, that's good to know. Well, apparently the forums don't open for a couple weeks. So for now, ask us questions, but then we'll clarify them there later. Dawn says the 16th. We'll check online. Yep.
Yes, so I read somewhere, this may have been a few years old, but at one point I read something that said that the judges in one room will, as they go through and judge the teams that they see, that they will only pick one of those teams for each award to present for each award, and that then goes up to a higher level. Is that really the case?
I've never done that.
Okay.
I don't like doing that.
Right.
I've never read that anywhere, to be clear.
Great.
In any of the programs, actually, I've never seen that. No, you can absolutely have the top 3 teams in one room. That's happened. So if the top 3 teams across the board in one room, because that's the random shuffle, that's how it works, and then that's how it should be. No, that's not something we're going to be doing.
Super.
How are we on time? All right. Anything else? All right, well, then I'm going to restate 2 more things. 1, read the manual, please. And 2, the judges really are rooting for you. We're huge fans of this. We love this. A lot of judges are engineers, tech nerds, whatever you want to call us. We want to hear about this. I've talked to a ton of judge volunteers who are super jealous that you guys get to do this because they didn't as a student. That's how I feel at FLL. I did FTC, I did FRC, never did FLL, and I wish I could have, right? So we're rooting for you. Tell us your story, present your story, and read the manual. Thank you.